Good. All right, good afternoon. So, as Will had introduced, we have really an amazing panelist. In fact, I'm invested in two of you. Some personal, some firm. So I feel deeply privileged. Really, you all have made me money already. So, both for my firm and for me personally. And like I said, this really is a movement, and I deeply believed in all of your vision. Right? I may not know all of you guys as well as these two, but I think we're on to something new. Right? So with that, I thought let's all do a 2-minute intro. Right? So since Thomas, you're on the other end, maybe we'll start from there. And then with actually Draper University style is you have to do a fun fact. And I'll do one at the end too, because you kind of know me as the fire marshal now. I'll tell you a fun fact. So let's start from Thomas.
Okay, let's try that. So I'm Thomas. I'm co-founder of Ledger. So you might know about Ledger. It's a company that was founded back in 2014. So it's a long time in the crypto world. And we try to design some tools and solutions to make that ecosystem more secure. So I'm sure you know that owning Bitcoin, owning crypto, it's actually owning, well, some private key that lets you access this asset. And it's very similar to digital gold or cash. Cash is fairly easy to secure, you know. You've got some cash, you put it in your pocket. You've got some gold. You're not going to put it in a chimney. You're going to put it in a vault. You're going to put it in this kind of solution. For private keys, it's way harder. You know, it's a string of text. Where are you going to put it on a computer, on a phone? So what we design is basically a little vault for your Bitcoins. And the first product that we launch is like what we call hardware wallets. So it's a little piece of hardware like this that is going to, like an offline computer, that is going to generate, manage, and store your private keys totally offline. So the keys never leave the device. Transactions are signed on the device, and you can sleep tight at night. And we don't sleep so that you can sleep at night with your coins perfectly secure. So yeah, that's the company. It's been quite a ride, let's say, in the last few years. It scaled up pretty much 2015, 2016, and 2017 was like an amazing year. We sold about 1 million units all over the world, so something like 170 countries. So we went through a massive round of scaling, and we've got a bit of funding to continue developing like a great product, a great experience, to make that ecosystem more secure and make sure these crypto assets are kept secure.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
You thought he was going to get away with it. I'm not going to let it off that easy.
So yeah, fun fact is like the way Ledger was created is kind of fun. We didn't really know what to do. We knew it was something very important happening, and we kind of said, okay, let's build a Bitcoin center in Paris. So it's like called La Maison du Bitcoin, and we started on something very like going counterintuitive, making something physical on something digital, and we didn't know really what to do at the end. And La Maison du Bitcoin, this thing was about like shaking very hard and see what happens of it, and Ledger came out of it. So that's a little fun fact. I don't know if it's fun, but.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the French is known for a technology company, so this doesn't count as a fun fact. But we'll let this one slide. All right. All right. So next.
Okay. I'll start with a fun fact then. So I have a PhD in astrophysics, but I spent years in hospitals pretending to be a medical doctor. And people always ask, where were you trained? And I have to tell them I'm there just doing research, doing software. Anyway, so after I get my PhD in astrophysics, I want to make money. I didn't want to do years of postdoc. So my wife said, you should really go find a job in software because it's making money there. So I applied in Microsoft and IBM. And the HR rejected me outright. They said, where's your computer science degree? There's no diploma. Okay, so back then, I find a new way to produce this new way to produce software, which is called open source. And I have since fallen in love with this notion of there's no gatekeeper, there's no centralized identity to tell you what to do, when to do it. And so I joined open source project back then. It was called JBoss and bought by Red Hat. And so I've since been involved in the community. That's my journey here. I wear a T-shirt that says decentralize everything. Microsoft used to be the enemy. And we decentralized the software production. Now we're up to much bigger enemies. And so we want to make a revolution happen again. That's me. Thank you.
Great. All right, that was good.
Yeah.
All right, Ricky.
Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Ricky. So I worked in Yahoo 12 years before. So the fun fact is that I find that the traditional internet is quite outdated right now while I reached the blockchain industry. So I actually just finished an IPO last month, but I closed for 8 years. I spent all 8 years' time to do an IPO, and then I used 2 weeks' time to do an ICO.
Is that the fun fact?
Yes, it's a fun fact to me. Yeah, okay. So I think to anyone, I think welcome to the blockchain industry, and then I think it's a very new industry right here, and then we have some revolutionary steps to go on, and then I'm welcome all of you to join our industry in blockchain.
Great.
Yeah. So about IHT, IHT is actually a global real estate blockchain cloud platform. While we start this project, we actually would like to create a third, we call house sharing model in the world. The first one is Airbnb, the next one is WeWork, and I would like myself, iHouse token, to be the third one. Okay, so we share the assets, everything onto the blockchain. We split the assets into different shareholders, and then to own the assets. And then we record it, and then we can transfer through smart contract very easily. So it increases the liquidity, transparency, and also with a high security. Yeah. So that's all about iHouse. Thank you.
Great. And Hongfei, you have a video. Should we try the video first, or you want to do a fun fact?
I want to say a few words before the video. Yeah, some of you may know or may not know, I'm coming here for coming to San Francisco for 2 purposes. One is to attend this conference, and there is a following DevCon, the first ever DevCon of NEO by the end of this month, 30th and 31st. And we prepared a video for that DevCon. It's a 2-minute video. So
Great.
You guys want to have a sneak peek at the video?
Yeah.
No, let's do it.
Where is it, by the way? So just so they know.
It's in Intercontinental Hotel. It's also in San Francisco.
Okay, great. You heard it here first. All right. Can we cue out the video?
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Bryce play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. Go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. The others too.
You don't like it?
Almost done.
So why don't you like it? I think it's not about technology. It's not about coding. I think the next phase of blockchain is about we will face a lot of competitions. And these competitions are not limited to technology. Maybe in the past, technology is the first thing. But we think there are 2 more things that we need to face. One of the most important is also humankind, the competition. And the third thing is the governance model. In the future, we need a governance model to improve blockchain. We've seen a lot of split in communities. So everybody should be aligned together, should be moving in the same direction instead of forking everything, do IFO this, IFO that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So on that note, I'm curious. The title of the panel is the U.S. versus China, but let's kind of raise up a little bit higher of this blockchain revolution. You touch upon something interesting. That is how it evolved our society, right? So how do you think this is taking off globally? I mean, Thomas, you're in 165 countries, right? Are you seeing interesting things globally? How different countries are adopting this? Changes? Any, predictions?
So we're based out of France, but from the first day of operation, I think like we sold on the first day maybe like in 50 countries or something like that. So clearly not in France. And the trend that we're seeing is something that is global from day one. So we're seeing like something sales like in 165 or more countries. I don't have the exact stats, but generally speaking, what we see is roughly a third in the US and Canada, a third in Europe, and a third in Asia. And we see like very nice trends as there's some news happening. For example, today there's been this thing in Japan with CoinCheck, and we've seen a lot of sales in Japan exactly that day. Same for China, for example. There was this ban for a certain time in some exchanges. People couldn't get access to their funds. So definitely we saw like an increased volume coming from China. People wanting to have their coins. So clearly, like it's a global phenomenon, and it's really well distributed. It's not just the US, but really equally distributed between America, Europe, and Asia.
This is what we're observing at Draper University as well. We target 18 to 28-year-old first-time entrepreneurs. What we see is that there's some movement that transcends borders. It seems like that age range, they're thinking a little bit differently, and we're also learning. So I'm curious, Michael and Ricky, we were talking about sort of governance model. You guys are actually working on applications on the blockchain.
Yep.
Maybe just briefly talk about what you're working on and see. And what I'm really curious is there underlying technology ready? And then we'll flip the question over to these two guys. They're more infrastructure guys.
Yeah.
I want to find out what they think about the interesting applications they're seeing, right? Mm-hmm. So application guys, is infrastructure ready? And infrastructure guys, are you seeing interesting applications?
Okay.
Take it away.
Yeah. So, okay, my time. I think while we design the application use, we first see the demand and also what we actually solve in this problem with the blockchain technology. So that when we choose the house sharing model to start with the blockchain, so actually we see a strong demand for the asset owner. And we see a strong demand for the financial institution because traditionally they have many regulations, but with such kind of new blockchain technology, they have new products, they have new offerings. We talk to many asset owners and also the financial institution. They are all welcome on such kind of change. So because I think this is a demand-driven application, so that while we design a product, we first see the demand, and then we see how urgent they actually need to use this, and what actually the blockchain technology can help us to go to the market. So this is our consideration process, okay, to do this. Yeah.
Okay.
Michael?
So, first a little background. CyberMiles wants to do a blockchain in e-commerce. We all read the thesis on FAT protocol, and we all know in the blockchain ecosystem, the value is in the protocol, not in the application. However, in our view, there is also a significant amount of value in application-specific protocols. This is what we want to do, is to have a blockchain that is optimized for a particular application scenario. It's funny to think about things like e-commerce, because when we talk about the real application in blockchain, people have been accepting Bitcoin in e-commerce for ages, right? There's OpenBazaar from the very early days. However, without application level protocols, you have found there's all kinds of limitations for this type of play. By just purely building application on top of existing blockchain infrastructure, you have wildly, fluctuating valuations. So in the end, Bitcoin and Ethereum is not really good currencies for e-commerce. So what we are aiming to do is to build a middle layer between the protocol level infrastructure and the application to have a bridge, to have a new optimized smart contract platform so that people can easily build applications on top of a secondary protocol that we are building at CyberMouse. So that's really our approach. We call, I think other people have called it first, but we agree with the notion that there's protocols and there's application protocols, and then there are applications. We are application protocols.
So just educate me a little bit. If I look at the internet space, a lot of the e-commerce company came out really early in 96, 97, and most of them didn't make it.
Yes.
Right? Because they're essentially too early. Mm-hmm. Right concept. Mm-hmm. How do you, as a blockchain e-commerce company, knowing that in mind, how do you de-risk that?
It's what we see a bigger risk today with e-commerce is centralization, because right now the big network builders are Amazon in the U.S., Alibaba in meaning no offense. There must be Alibaba people here and Amazon people, but meaning no offense. There's when you build a big network like this, there's it's winner take all situation. There's no point being the second place in the network building game. So there's so in the end, if that happens naturally, there would be only one network left, which is the biggest one, right? So for companies of other sizes, for other e-commerce niche plays, that's the only way we can compete is that we band together, we pull our data together, we pull our resources together. But without blockchain, it has been really difficult to do. People have been done it non-profit way for ages, but people don't agree with each other. People don't agree with how to share the data, how to share the access, and how to price them. By not having human contract, by having smart contract, by having everything written in code, by having a more rigorous, governance structure, and having, a more formal way for people to come to consensus. We believe there's a chance to build a truly big collaborative e-commerce network to rival the big networks that exist today. That's what we want to do. Of course, there's risk because a lot of people want to build networks, but that's so it's a race. That's we would like to win.
I hope you're the Amazon or eBay.
we don't want to be the Amazon or eBay. We want to be the network that challenges them, right?
Okay, good. All right. So, you want to add something or no?
I want just to say that in the decentralized application, you will need to interact with this application, and you will need to engage and put engage your tokens to participate in this application. And at Ledger, we really started with like the basic token for the infrastructures. You had Bitcoin, you had as a currency, as a store of value. People wanted to secure that, but we're seeing more and more of that community, the Ethereum, others, that are starting to add support for the decentralized application in order to bring your keys on your ledger and interact with an application. So it's clearly something that we are seeing quite a lot. There's been a lot of support developed on top of our APIs for a lot of different coins, but also a lot of different decentralized applications. And I guess there has been a lot of projects that started to get funded like late 2016, early 2017. They got some time to work on the actual application, and in 2018, most likely some will emerge as winners. And as there's more value to interact with these decentralized application, you will need to have your coin secure again. And we're seeing quite a lot of decentralized exchanges popping out. And if you want to cut the middleman of a centralized exchange using a decentralized application, you'd better have your key safe. And we really want to have like ledgers, our wallet integrated with these protocols, so you can start the exchange directly from that. For prediction markets, same for it. For e-commerce and things like that, same thing. You want to have your coin secured and interact with the smart contract and decentralized application in a safe way.
So I look forward to one day my ledger can send money directly to yours and do some exchanges without going through a third party.
Well, it already works with the blockchain. You've got the settlement. If you send some Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency, you've got the settlement on the blockchain. But if you engage in some more complex decentralized application, definitely it's something that will happen, I would say in the next, give it another 6 to 12 months, we'll see like some very great application with traction.
Great. Well, you didn't do a fun fact, but I'm going to...
Fun fact, yeah.
So we should do that now, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I should do it. Yeah,
And then you do one, I'll do one, okay?
Okay. I just say a few words about the video. I think we are in a room of distributed or decentralized opinions. We have different opinions,
Yes.
but we have a protocol. The protocol is we are on a panel and there is an agenda. So as long as everybody is obeyed to the to adopted to that protocol, the conference will go very smooth.
Yes.
So I think it's a beauty of blockchain and all
Right.
the consensus, the protocols.
Right.
About my fun fact is that actually I'm a little bit older than you imagine because the host just.
You want to try? No, just kidding.
They said I have 5 years experience in this area in the crypto area.
I remember it's probably close to 9 because I remember.
I believe it's
Okay, so
7.
see?
Yeah. I came across Bitcoin in 2011, fairly early. That means
I remember in China there was a picture of you, blockchain society in Shanghai. I think there were like maybe 7 people.
yes, meeting.
5 or 7 people.
Yeah, actually there are 8 people there.
Okay, good.
The one in the middle is Vitalik.
Okay.
Before he invented Ethereum. Yeah. So that's one of the fun facts.
Okay.
But I'm except from the pioneer in blockchain, I'm also a pioneer in China in MMA or UFC. I've been following UFC for quite a long time. Yeah. I started
Don't mess
from-
with this guy.
No, I didn't practice it.
Oh, I see. Just
watched
it's an
the-
audience. Okay.
It's an audience.
Clarify.
Yeah. But maybe commentator, maybe later, maybe in the future. Yeah. I've been following UFC since 2013, I believe. So I'm a big fan of UFC. Yeah, that's a fun fact.
Great. My fun fact is not nearly as accomplished. I have 2 young boys, so I can change diaper and eat at the same time. I have to be very careful, though. When you eat, you have to rely on your sense of smell and keep track which can is which. Okay? Try to avoid food like chocolate, because you might get confused. All right, so back to the video. I thought it was pretty interesting. It reminds me of some of the older, like the Apple videos, right? Most people love it, but Apple it started out as somewhat controversial, but it turned out to be an amazing brand. What I took away, I took notes. I saw diversity, struggle, dream. I guess struggle/competition.
Yeah.
It reminds me that Apple video is not about technologies, right? It's about sort of humanity. If you look at Steve Jobs, he's actually not, he's sort of a hybrid, but I think he sort of appealed to the rest of the world. So I do see there's a lack. Is that how you interpret that video?
Yeah, I think so. If you look at the logo of NEO, it says smart economy. It's not smart contract. It's not blockchain. So NEO is not just about technology. It's about how the technology can be used to facilitate the future smart economy. So that's why we put a lot of humanity, a lot of other stuffs into the video. And I also believe in the future, the competitions between technologies and even other technologies, blockchains will be very harsh. So the video is telling us to aiming high and to be diligent and to be persistent, to pursue those high dreams.
Yeah, it actually reminded me when iPod first came out, people thought, oh, Apple invented iPod. No, there was a company called Creative Labs that actually had MP3 players, right? I think it's about sort of appealing to technology from the humanity aspect. Question for all of you, right? On that note, I think we're running down, we got about 8 minutes left. Give us a prediction in 10 years. Like, what do you see? Both from your own company as well as just broader blockchain. What do you see? Do we have a decentralized government? Maybe one of the countries sort of becomes blockchain-based? So take it away, any one of you.
Yeah, I don't have a crystal ball, so I cannot really say how it's going to be like in 10 years, but we're big believers of decentralized system, and of course, as soon as you got like a middleman, that takes some value out of every trade, out of every transaction, well, there's an opportunity to come with something better, and blockchain definitely is. So yeah, we definitely see a world where there's a lot of applications that are actually useful, meaningful, that tie a lot of value, whether it be asset, information, transaction. And in that world, clearly we see Ledger as a provider to make all this private key management secure. So whether it be like for individuals, people like you and me who want to tie some value to a crypto-based asset, so for whatever reason, well, you need to have the right tools to make it secure. For companies who want to interact with a blockchain, whether it be like funds or a financial institution who want to trade on decentralized exchange or whatever, you need to have the right tools on your servers to make sure that your keys are secure. And we've got some products that we're developing for that case, HSM-based products for enterprises. And in the IoT space, there's a lot of use cases where you see that machines will need to interact with other machines by sending information, sending some tokens with some value. And as soon as these applications around smart cities, smart grids, and those kind of stuff start to gain traction, well, there will be some value attached to these tokens, and there will be a need to secure them. And that's also like an area of focus for us. It's mostly for 3 to 5 to 6 years, and even more, to be able to have these IoT devices that can exchange value and have their private keys managed within enclaves in the IoT sensors, for example.
Okay, so to me, the big picture prediction, I think, in 5 years is the powers gonna embrace it. Why? Because today it's pretty much a fringe revolution. When we did our token sale, we had investors, over 10,000 investors from 119 countries. We have 8 ETH from Afghanistan, but we have none from United States and China because we cannot risk irking those governments, right? However, I remember 10 years ago when we fought Microsoft. Microsoft, in the open, said open source is cancer. And it's pretty much like today when the powers to be said ICO is scam, right? But today we learned that Microsoft become the biggest contributors to open source. I think the same going to happen. The powers to be, the United States and China, are going to embrace this, and I think the better days ahead of us.
Okay, I would say like a 10 years forecast. For example, while 10 years before I was in Yahoo, and then I think the internet is new at that point. And then 10 years later, it seems like we evolved to a mobile world, and then now blockchain world. So after 10 years, I think blockchain will be very familiar with everyone. Everyone will be the user, not just talking about technology, but talking about adoption, application, whatsoever. So every industry will benefit from the blockchain. And one more important is that I think blockchain is not just about technology, but also like the organization change, procedural change. This is a new revolutionary category that is in. So every industry will be changed on this part because of the organization and procedure changes. So I think it's a really new concept and new revolutionary within the organization itself, not just about technology.
Okay.
Yeah, my forecast for 10 years in this industry, that 3 things will be on-chain. The first thing is asset. I believe in 10 years, every asset will be digitized, will move on-chain, including your car, including the title of your house. And the second is fiat will be on-chain. So there will be some country issue their country currency, national currency, on top of blockchain. And the third thing will be identity. Digital identity will be so popular, will be universal living on the chain. So when these 3 things happen together, plus smart contract, we will see the smart economy in 10 years. That's my prediction.
So let me actually follow up. So if ID were on-chain, what happens to geographic borders?
It's a very tricky question.
That's why I give it to you.
Yeah. Some of you may know, I have, besides from Neil, I also own a company. It's called OnChain. The company itself is called OnChain. And we started a new project. It's an independent blockchain. It's called Ontology. Ontology is about digital identity and about distributed trust. And it doesn't stop as a blockchain. We call it a blockchain network. So it means it's a network consists of different blockchains. And every blockchain will have their different governance model, different policies. So if there's one country or one business interest group, they want to adopt some customized policy, it is possible. So we know where the future is. We know where we today. But the best way to go to realize the future, it probably is not to go directly to that direction. There are obstacles we need to work around. So as a DNA of our team, we not just know where we today, we not just know where tomorrow is, we know how to move to the direction and in a way.
And don't you think, and actually all four of you, don't you think the logical way to get there, it's probably through not the largest countries, right? If you look at adoption, historically, it's the number 10 through number 20 players, not the number 1 through 10, because you have too much to lose. So when you think about smart asset, you think about ID, you think about currency, those are historically the function of a government, right? So we're talking about making the government more efficient. So any predictions, what kind of countries would take on this task of transformation? Very tricky question. You could probably rule out a few countries, right?
Yeah, well, I have no idea on that, and if it happens, yeah, generally, like innovation starts with, like not the incumbents, but like the smaller one that have a risk to take and embracing a new technology. But we'll see on that, and if it happens to be valuable, we can provide the right tools for that. But we'll see how it goes.
My take is probably China will be the first country to issue digital fiat. Because the People's Bank of China are very active, very aggressive on researching on digital fiat. So that's one possibility. Yeah.
And is that positive for the blockchain industry?
Definitely, it's a positive. Yeah. But they haven't decided to use blockchain or not.
Yeah.
It could be a centralized system, but a digital. It's a M0. It's a cash.
Yeah,
it's equivalent to cash. It's not to replace the bank account, the balance in your bank.
Right.
Yeah, so China probably will be the first to issue digital national fiat.
So it's not sort of completely the destination, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But if somebody is starting from nothing, a small country that probably doesn't even have a strong currency, then they may want to go straight there.
Yeah.
Right?
They may...
Potentially.
Yes, potentially. And I think for digital identity, China is also have some advantage. They have us. Your ontology is focused on digital identity.
On that note, I hope one day, we all use hardware ledger to keep our assets. We buy things from Michael's company, and then we invest in real estate deals and through Ricky's platform. And everything's based on Leo. All right, thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
Good.